Good morning, everybody. Just getting ready to do our bento box for our Facebook Live. The challenge today is to interest your child in healthy eating. And we'll talk a little bit about what makes your child a picky eater. Quite interesting. Join me at 11 o'clock. That's in about 9 minutes' time, yeah? Morning, everybody. We're nearly there, about 5 minutes to go for the start. Welcome. We're going to have a look at the joy of eating for children and how to cope with picky eaters. So stay with me. Of course, it's healthy food, and the key really is variety and your own positive attitude. So I'm just going to top and tail the beans. Welcome everybody. This is my home kitchen, not the Zen kitchen today. And I'm very thrilled you could join me. And we'll be just having a look at some of the simple things you can do to get your child interested in eating healthily. About 3 more minutes to go, and then we'll start proper. Okay, 11 o'clock, welcome. We are going to be talking about introducing your child to the joys of healthy eating. Some of you may have picky eaters, some of you may be picky eaters yourselves. It's very, very interesting because your own attitude and your eating habits influence how your child responds to food. And this goes all the way back to when the baby is actually in the womb. They've recently done studies in America, actually, and it's an Italian-American lady called Julie Manella who started to observe that things that the mother liked to eat during pregnancy would often be the foods that the child, the later child, was also very interested in eating. So in my case, I'm a post-war baby. I'm very old. And my mother's mother and my father were very worried that my mother would not have enough of the right nutrition to eat and provide sustenance for a healthy baby. So they went all over the place trying to give her as much variety as possible. This included eating prawns with the shell, as well as all the vegetables that my mother's mother and my father grew in the garden, because in those days, of course, it was just at the end of Dig for Victory, right? So it was all your own produce. So relatively healthy stuff, but the end result was that I actually eat almost everything. So good morning, everyone. Thanks again for joining us here. We're just talking about eating for children. We've done several little experiments, if you like, with Zen-Sin. And one of the things we did was, for Halloween, we provided a whole tray of different fruit and vegetables, and we let the children come and taste. So the key, I think, to anything is to offer variety. Every child is different. Every child will like different things. And as I mentioned, that's partly because of what the mother has eaten during pregnancy. And color plays a large part in attracting the child, as well, of course, as taste. Now, it's also noted that when the baby is in the womb, it's likely to take very many more gulps of amniotic fluid when the mother eats something sweet as opposed to when the mother eats something bitter. Interestingly, for my own son, I tend to like savory things, and the end result of him being inside when I was eating things like sausages in Bavaria was that he is also very fond of savory things, and of course of sausages. So what we're doing is we're trying to give you ideas of what to put in the bento box. This is a nice little bento box that has been provided by my colleague Min-Sin, and it's ideal for a child to take to lunch. You can see we've already started with some of the things. Because I'm an Angmo, I'm used to eating raw things. So I would give my child raw carrots, okay? And we've got cashew nuts. If your child is not allergic to nuts, that's also a nice snack that you can put in that's very healthy. So you've got the raw carrots with the beta-carotene for eye health, and you've got the good fatty acids in the nuts there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to steam some carrots because, hi Rachel, because our friends over here are more used to eating cooked food. So I've steamed a beetroot because that takes a little bit longer, and I'm going to steam carrots and French beans, okay? We're very lucky at Zen-Sin because there's an enormous variety of fruit and vegetables that you can offer a child. So I'm just going to pop this in this lovely machine here, which is going to time everything for me. It's my chopped carrots. So that way I've got steamed carrots and I've also got raw carrots. And as I said, each child is different. Each child likes different things. So the key is to provide variety. And I eat everything now, but when I first arrived, there was a battle between me and my parents because I was the first child. And they were very worried. I wasn't very big at all. Yeah, they were very worried. And they did things very much from an intellectual point of view. Hi, Terry. You're supposed to eat this and this and this and this at this time. Hi, Grace. I'm not actually selling the products, Grace, but I will show you the products that I'm using. So those are the French beans that we've been using. Nice fresh French beans. And those are the organic Thai carrots. Lovely orange organic Thai carrots. If you want to buy the products, you can get them all, of course, on organicdelivery.sg. That's our online website. And we're doing a very, very good service now since COVID. We've actually got the service down to be able to give you basically next day delivery, which is awesome. So you get the freshest pretty fast. So we've got vegetables steaming. Earlier, I also cooked rice. My son was born in Germany, and of course, it's a fairly meat-heavy culture, so he was very, very used to having meat. He was exposed, first of all, to German cuisine, obviously, and Italian cuisine, but we also had friends that were Vietnamese. So by some quirk of fate, he actually ended up being able to use chopsticks better than he could a knife and fork. It's very funny, actually, because he would be quite neat and tidy with chopsticks, but when you gave him a knife and fork, the food would go all over the place. Here's some pictures of him because, as I said, it's your own attitude that really influences how your child eats. If you have a positive attitude, if you have a joy yourself in exploring different tastes and different foods and even different cuisines, that will rub off on your child, and your child will also pick up on the spirit of exploration. So eating can be very messy in the beginning, and what we did was we actually offered him the opportunity. Hi, Grace. Very, very nice to see you. We offered him the opportunity to explore lots of different things. Hi, Sean. Okay. And here he is with porridge. And I didn't have any rules. You have to eat it this way. Remember, my parents had started off by forcing me to eat. And the end result of that was I wouldn't eat anything. Even if you pinched my nose so I couldn't breathe and had to open my mouth, if they poked it in, I would spit it out again. So that doesn't work. Please don't do that. Offer the opportunity to explore food. This one, he's got a nice bowl of porridge and he's put his face in to lick the bottom of the porridge. This one is exploring pasta. This is actually orzo. It's a Greek kind of pasta with a tomato sauce. Here he is with a mouthful, absolutely stuffed. And of course, as we said last time, one of the most important things is hydration. On that note, most children in Singapore get supplied with a water bottle, right? Something you can do is you can add exciting things into the water bottle, especially if you do it by telling a story. This has chia seeds in it. Now, one reaction might be you. But if you tell the story that these chia seeds are what helped the Inca warriors go up and down the Andes when they were fighting their battles, and that they contain all 9 essential amino acids to make you strong, then you might have a child who will actually drink chia seeds with water. Think about it.
Amazing.
Okay, so as we moved from Germany to Singapore, we began to explore the foods. One of the topics that we will be exploring to the end of the year is to embrace and explore. Okay, and for us, we already began to explore Asian food in Europe, and we started with Japanese food because that is my son's favorite food for whatever reason. I don't know why. Okay, so welcome everybody. So glad that you could join us. I know it's school holiday at the moment, but these are ideas for what you can do for your bento box when you go back to school. So this morning, I've actually cooked, I don't know if you can see, I've cooked sushi rice here. So this is the round grain rice, the Oryza japonica. It's actually authentic Japanese rice from Japan that has been grown without pesticides and artificial fertilizers. So it's a good rice. And then I've popped in the vinegar mixture, which is traditional for the sushi rice, so that it lasts well without going bad. The vinegar preserves and protects the food. And we've added a little bit of the chirimin, the little tiny baby fish, and seaweed. So you're getting the minerals from the baby fish, the goodness of the rice to help you all day. And then, of course, the seaweed. So there's a pocket. It can just go in like that. And you can just shake it. And it becomes a nice triangular shape later. You can just keep it in there. There, can you see? Yeah. Very good. Apparently we've got our colleagues in Malaysia also joining us today. So I'm sorry we're doing Japanese food mainly. But it's very healthy food, the Japanese food. It's just steamed the rice, and then we've added a little bit of baby fish and seaweed, and of course the vinegar seasoning. Okay, so there's one triangle. Depending on the age of your child, you may need 2 triangles. So I made enough rice, and if you want to keep the rice, it will of course keep for a couple of days. And then what I do with the old rice that doesn't taste so good anymore is I just make porridge with it. Very simple, no need to waste anything. So a nice porridge with an umeboshi plum, and you're good. These little things, by the way, I picked up in Daiso, so you know they're very cheap, $2, right? So there you are. There's another little triangle. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we're having steamed vegetables. Steaming here in the nice old Thermomix. And I'm just going to stir fry spinach. This is our baby spinach. Like I said, I'm trying to give a variety, as much variety as possible, in color, in texture, in the different families that also we come from, yeah? So this is spinach family, and you have carrot family, you have nut family, all the different families. Variety is the key to healthy eating. So I'm just going to stir fry the baby spinach quickly. Going to heat it up with a little bit of coconut oil, because coconut oil does very well with the higher temperatures. Just a little bit to coat the bottom. This is a ceramic pan. I very much recommend that you use cast iron, stainless steel, ceramic or glass for your cooking, so that you don't get toxins in from other nasty coatings. So thanks very much to everybody who's joining me. We're in the process of producing a bento box for when you all go back to school, right? Okay. So here we go. The spinach will wilt very quickly, so I'm only going to do it for a couple of minutes. There we are, it's melting already. In Europe, of course, we do it with butter. But I don't want you to be too scandalized, so that's why I'm using the coconut oil. Could also do it with a little bit of sesame oil. Let's see, are they steamed? Not quite. Go for a little bit longer, I think. And if you have picky eaters, you may also pay attention to how you separate your foods. I have a tendency to say, I've only got one stomach, it doesn't matter what goes down when. But some people, including a friend of mine who used to lodge with us, really prefers things separate. He does not like things mixed at all. Okay, so there's our spinach. You can see very quickly, stir fried, shrunk up a bit, so that's a very small portion. We're just going to put it in the bento box with the triangles in a paper cup. There we go. So that can just pop in there. And then there's one more thing that I've made for the top level. And that's, again, a Japanese egg roll, tamago, right? So I'm just going to cut that and put a couple of slices. That's from our organic feed eggs, okay? We're trying to be as careful as possible with the protein because whatever is at the top end and is eating obviously accumulates the most poisons. So if you want to be careful with what you eat, then you need to be eating organic eggs, organic meat. Expensive, so you can only eat a little bit, yeah? Okay, so here's our tamago. I think you can see it's quite nice. One, I don't know how big my child is. Well, he's very big at the moment. Maybe I'll just put 2 slices in. There we go. So, there you have your spinach, and your leafy green, your 2 nice triangles of rice, and your tamago, your egg. So, as I said, variety. My poor son used to get raw carrots almost every day, which apparently ended up in food fights because he got so sick of them. Anyway, occasionally you can put raw carrots in. Then we have some very nice honey-dipped banana chips, organic banana chips, everything organic here. This is a nice crunchy texture, and of course it's the sweetness. There they are, honey chips. Ah, what makes kids picky eaters? You're not going to like this. Picky parents. It's part of the studies that Julie Manella did. It was done over a series of years, obviously, in New York. And she noticed that when the mother didn't eat a variety of foods, then the child also had a certain resistance. And she focused on different foods, for example, garlic, my favorite, of course. That's because my grandmother liked it so much, apparently. Anyway, she was Italian-American, and she noticed that if the child's mother was eating garlic during the pregnancy, then the child would be totally unfazed by eating garlic. If you yourself don't eat a wide variety of things when you're pregnant, then the baby has less exposure to a variety of foods. About 15 to 16 weeks old in the womb, the baby is already able to tell the difference between sweet and bitter, for example. And of course, we all like sweet, right? So they gulp down more fluid when it's sweet. And around 21 weeks, then the baby is able to differentiate almost all of the smells and the tastes of the foods that the mother is actually eating. So remembering this, the idea really is to eat as many different things as you can that you know are healthy during pregnancy. Julie also noticed that when the mothers were very keen on junk food, the babies also and the children would be very keen to eat junk food. So you influence your child enormously by what you yourself eat, and of course your attitude to eating. Remember, my parents were panicked. They thought I was not going to thrive, so they adopted the "you must eat." And of course, I'm very willful, so there was no way that that was going to happen. And I started off actually only eating things like egg custard, like, you know, like the Chinese steamed custard. That's the only thing I would eat. But because Dad grew so much in the garden, he would put a little of everything he grew on the plate, and he would say, "You try it. You just taste it." Gone were the days of pinching my nose so I'd open my mouth, because that certainly didn't work. But it would be, try it. Just try it first. And because of the variety, I gradually got used to it. And as I said, my mother had eaten a variety of foods when she was pregnant. So for me, it wasn't so difficult to overcome the first conflict of wills and to begin to eat most things. Very, very interesting. But your personal attitude, whether you're fearful, and also your own appreciation of food is going to influence your children. So I've just added in banana chips, crunchy banana chips, and these are dried apricots. These are our really nice dried apricots, so they're sweet, and again, they've got very good beta carotenes in there. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, we've got 4 things in there now. Let's see what else we can pop in there. Oh yes, grapes. Very, very good. Organic grapes, of course, please. Never the non-organic grapes, not for a growing child. You don't know the level of contamination that is going to be. And as I say, I always rinse my fruit and vegetables with filtered water. Okay, let's have a taste. Very nice and sweet. Okay. So there's the grapes going in. Now it's an enormous box of grapes, so it's going to last a child at least a week, okay? Red grapes, and as I say, if it's organic, it's free of pesticides, and I only need to rinse it under filtered water. I don't use the funny chemical washes at all. We always grew things in the garden, but we always washed them, even so. Somebody's washing organic blueberries with fruit and vegetable wash. You actually don't need to do that. What you'll notice, and I think if I show you perhaps the grapes, you'll see that there is like, let's try this one. Can you see there's like a coating? There's a coating, a protective coating that the plant puts on the fruit to protect it from the environment. This is why we say the antioxidants are most concentrated in the skin, because they are what protects the plant from the adversity of nature, as it were. So certified organic fruit is definitely free of pesticides. Like I say, each fruit will have a coating. So if you take, we had some people take our tomatoes and they washed it with the fruit and vegetable wash. And they said, oh, your tomatoes are contaminated. So much color came off. But that was the natural color of the tomatoes. That was the actual part of it would have been the lycopene, the antioxidant that went into the water. So if your organic food is certified by a credible organic certifying body, there should be no need to use anything other than filtered water to wash your fruit and vegetables. So tomato, if your child is not allergic to tomatoes, that's another thing you can pop in. Little cherry tomatoes are quite nice and juicy. So again, I'm just going to give them a little wash here. There we go. Very good. So those were our cherry tomatoes. Everything, of course, you can get at organicdelivery.sg. Okay, so we're nearly done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, okay. And I'm playing the devil's advocate here because I've also got some steamed veggies. Hopefully they're cooked this time. Oh yeah, beans are good. And here's the carrot, not raw, steamed. Still a bit crunchy, but some people like it like that. Okay, so you can add in beans, carrots, and a little bit later, I'll slice you some beetroot. And you've got vegetables to go with your rice. This time cooked vegetables. Can you see? French beans and carrots. So for a smaller child, you can give more variety. You can, of course, also put the triangles separate and give it even more variety in the bento box. There you are, can you see? Crunchy banana chips, soft, sweet, dried apricots. Remember, proper organic dried apricots will never be orange. It's the sulfur dioxide that keeps them orange, so don't eat them. Cashews, if your child likes nuts. Raw carrots, that may end up in a food fight. Grapes, absolutely delicious, full of good antioxidants. And tomatoes, if your child is not allergic to tomatoes. And then one final thing, most of you know that we import this delicious chocolate from Spain. This is organic chocolate. It's not even wrapped in aluminium foil. They've actually done away with that. And of course, dark chocolate, not only is it chocolate, but it's as good as medicine because of all the antioxidants in there. So that's your child's treat. It's bursting full, there. Everything packed in, and you see you've got a little spork here, a spoon fork, and chopsticks. which for my son would be fine. Okay. So we've got a very good balanced meal there. I was going to show you the beetroot. It's going to be a bit hot because I steamed it, but this is something that's well worth including, especially if your child likes sports, because beetroot are used by athletes to actually enhance their performance. So this is something that's a very healthy vegetable to get your child introduced to. It's sweet, so that's definitely its plus point. It doesn't spike blood sugar because the sweetness is all tied into the fiber. It's high fiber, and the beautiful pink color comes from betalains, which is an antioxidant again, so something again that's very beneficial for the body. Just peel off. Cooking it in the skin means that I retain all the goodness rather than having the goodness go into the water. That's why I've done that. There we go. There. Beautiful beetroot. And I've chosen the little ones because I want to steam them whole, and they will steam faster if they're smaller. If you have a big one, it's going to take something like 40 minutes, okay? So if you want to steam them in their skins, don't forget, try the small ones for steaming. Hi, Porher. Nice to see you. Thanks for your support. Okay, beetroot. Yeah, very good. Beetroot comes in from Australia, and it's been specially selected by Mr. Ty because he wants beetroot without that strong, earthy taste, because he wants as many people as possible to eat beetroot for their health. So don't forget, a lot of the produce that we have been specially selected so that we get the best possible solution for your healthy lifestyle. So that's about it. Oh, the mystery box. Oh, for those of you who order our organic boxes, whether it's the mystery, the oriental, or whatever, if you want to reduce the plastic packaging, you can just put in the comments as little plastic as possible, please. Now, this is an interesting question, because if we were in Europe or even in San Francisco, having your leafy greens outside in a basket would be absolutely no problem. And in Germany, generally speaking, we wouldn't wrap things in plastic. But because this is Singapore, I've actually taken things to the farmer's market here. And if the leafy greens are not wrapped in plastic, then after about half an hour, they're no longer like this, they're like this. So for a certain type of vegetable, it is better for their freshness that they come in these bags. And again, Mr. Ty has put a lot of thought into the kind of plastics that they're using. And I think if you look at some of our packing now, I don't know if you can read it or reverse read it, but there's a little tape here. I will read it for you. And it says, Zensin Organic Produce, learn how we reduce non-degradable plastic waste with SB biodegradable tape. So we're basically now using biodegradable film and organic adhesive. So when you see things that are wrapped like this, this is Mr. Ty's best effort to preserve the freshness of the fruit and vegetable and also have something that's biodegradable. So we're very pleased with this. As I say, because the tropics cause such a high amount of evaporation, your clothes dry very quickly here, right? Remember last week I talked about hydration being one of the most important things. And we walk around with water bottles because we are losing water all the time. So for the leafy greens, really the best way is to have them in a sealed plastic, because that's also a way of honoring the efforts of the farmer himself. If the farmer has put in all the efforts to grow these crops without taking the quick and dirty method of spraying everything, in other words, he's put a lot of care and attention, at the last moment, we do not want to not value his efforts by just slopping them loosely into a box for you. So sweet potato leaves, for example, if they are not wrapped in plastic, they just don't last. They're too delicate. The same for most of the Asian leafy greens, which, as you know, are some of the best things you can eat for health, stir-fried with garlic, okay? So yes, please put in your comments, you want as little as plastic as possible, but do understand that certain things do need protection in order to preserve their freshness, and we also need to value the efforts of the farmers. Thanks very much for that question. That's a very good question. So we're going to try and have this live every Saturday with something useful for you to learn. We're beginning with 4 topics going to the end of the year. And we're going to have Embrace and Explore, which we've done to a certain extent with the bento box. We're going to have Take Root. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. We're going to be talking about empowering yourself and your loved ones. And we're going to be talking about a healthier you. For a while now, we've been on this campaign of a healthier you, trying to tell you why the organic foods are going to be so much better for you than foods that are industrially farmed in depleted soils, okay? The farmer is a master craftsman when he does his job properly. He has to preserve the balance of the soil and make sure that things that are taken out are actually put back in. So with my grandmother, she would always have a trench ready for the beans for the following year, and all the kitchen scraps would go in the trench, and that would be her way then of composting to make sure that the minerals and all the organic matter was absorbed into the soil to grow the beans for the next year. If the farmer does his job properly, he will grow a crop in one place and then rotate around, growing perhaps a green manure to put nitrogen back into the soil. 1 year he will leave it fallow. So farming really is an art, and it's also now a science, but it's very, very hard work, and we need to value the efforts that organic farmers put in to producing organic fruit and vegetables. So I hope I've been able to help a little bit with picky eating, introducing variety, introducing the attitude of pleasure yourself in eating. And yeah, thanks for joining me very much. See you again next week. Bye-bye.